Yeah, I mean, well, when we were starting the band, there was a lot of different things we really liked, you know, and we really didn't want to limit ourselves to just one thing. We'd kind of either been in bands or seen a lot of our friends have bands that really just stuck, and we wanted to be able to, you know, because we kind of had a lot of foresight and figured, well, we're going to grow up eventually and want to write some crazier things, so let's draw upon everything that we love and just kind of jam it into one thing and see what happens. So like, you know, Revenge and the first record were more punk inspired. I'd say Revenge was more inspired by like stuff like Jawbreaker, maybe like 90s kind of rock, and then Parade was inspired by like largely classic rock, because that's kind of what we were into at the time. So I mean, that's, you know, we're also trying to be as like humble as possible. I mean, to us, Black Parade was, you know, I mean, to us it was the best record of that year. You know, that's how we felt about it when we were making it. We still feel that way about it. I think the only way to see if Black Parade stands up, it takes a lot of years to see. All the kids that listen to it now have to become rock critics, and then we'll see. But I mean, you know, like something like The Wall is like hugely ambitious. I don't know what it takes to make a record like that. Like that is, I mean, I think you gotta like kind of take a sledgehammer to your life in a lot of ways, and I don't think anybody in this band's prepared to do that. That's like a heavily demonizing record, you know. It's a pretty brutal record, so I don't think we kind of, in the best possible way, have it in us to make a record like that, although I think The Wall's probably the greatest concept record ever made. Yeah, we were filming a show in Mexico, and literally, like, I'd say it was a good, you know, maybe 10 minutes before we went on, we just decided that it was going to be the last one, you know. We learned a lot. We felt like we'd done all we could as the Black Parade. We were tired of it. We really wanted, especially because of what had gone on in the summer, we had really wanted to go back to just simply being My Chemical Romance, just really being a great rock band. Playing the Black Parade in order and playing as the Black Parade was very methodical, and really kind of boxed us in a bad way. And so, you know, it was fun while it lasted, but it definitely needed to end.
How did you come to that decision, just like all of a sudden in Mexico?
I think we'd put the uniforms on and started to get the makeup on and stuff, and we were hanging out backstage, and that making the record was one of the greatest experiences ever, but a lot had changed since making the record, and there was a lot of good memories, but there's also a lot of bad memories attached with kind of making that record, just mainly from the stress, you know, and the kind of personal stress that had come out of it. And like all the things we had to face making it, it just was like, you know, and we had faced a lot of illness and injury while touring on that record, especially while touring as the Black Parade, so I guess maybe I got a little superstitious about it, and I just wanted to end it. And I said to the guys, you know, like, I want this to be the last one, and they were very, very cool with that. I think we were all kind of relieved that it was the last one.
So part of it was just because you were on the road for so long, you were just kind of sick of doing it that way?
I'd say a small part of it was that, you know, like it caged us, but a bigger part was, I think, everything attached with being the Black Parade was something we wanted to kind of move on from. Well, we made Black Parade. By the time we finished it and tracked it properly in order, I always like to feel that particular character, who was created really so everybody could identify with the character. I mean, the character's practically nameless, and the one thing I figured people could identify with is that most likely everybody's going to eventually become a patient, and that's going to be the last time you are a patient. And I'm sure that the people in the hospital that see people come and go every day, all the nurses and the doctors, like, you know, you probably can't really remember one from the next, and when they pass, and you're just used to it. So you kind of lose your sense of identity once you become that kind of sick, and if you don't have any family around you, you even have less of an identity. But I like to think at the end of that record, like, the character gets a second chance, which you rarely get, you know. I'd like to think whether or not the character dies, he does in fact choose to live, whether or not he has a week left or whatever. He seemed like, you know, concept-wise, a very real thing. People seem to identify with it. Coming out on the gurney in the hospital gown, things like that. That part felt more like really great death glam, though. It just felt like glam, you know. It just felt like Alice Cooper up there. And that was awesome. That was some of the most exhilarating stuff, was doing that for like the first week or a month. And watching that kind of evolve, and like, I mean, it was like true theater, and it was, so we got our fix from that, on that.
Okay. Well, I was reading a New York Times story that said that the patient is the American everyman, recast as a sick, violent, scarred wreck. Is that true? I mean,
I'd say it's pretty close. I mean, it's definitely an everyman. I don't think largely American, though. I think we had sought out to make a very universal record, and I think, you know, obviously just the fact that we're here today proves that we did. And thank you. Cool. So yeah, we sought to make a very universal record, and we've never really. It's interesting. We don't really think of ourselves as a New Jersey band, and we also don't really think of ourselves as an American band in a lot of ways. We're proud of it, you know. It's like cool. Like, we kind of, you know, people's impressions of Americans. We kind of feel sometimes that people think we're like cowboys or something, so that's kind of exciting. But we felt more, you know, a band of the world, or like somewhere like the UK. We felt like more like a British rock band than anything.
You did.
American positivity. I don't know. I mean, we are really positive, you know. I think we have to be with how dark we are, or else we'd be like depressed all the time. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a weird thing. I've never heard that term or anything. I think a lot of American bands do go over there with a lot of baggage. I don't think we ever went over there with any kind of baggage. Mm-hmm. You know, I think we just went there with maybe something to prove to ourselves. You know, and we cared very little for other people's opinions. Like, we were never interested in making any friends either, which was always exciting.